I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .world.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone.
Rainier Avenue Radio presents All Music, All Day Saturday. Music, all day Saturday.
This is Edward Bailey, Bulldog Blue.
Jazz from the Cabinets.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets. Big Pop.
Start time.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul.
This is Start Time. Saturdays, all music, all day. Reggae Hour, K-Fox Night.
Looking for the perfect beat? Yeah, it's the beat of the box.
Fresh Juice, The Money in There.
Myself, Too Money.
Thanks,
Taylor Hart.
Spencia, the Northwest Rap Gang.
DJ Medina. Jackson. Northwest Rap.
Sergio Lacour's Love Line.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Go to the phone line. Tell them who we got.
Sea Monster Radio, Mojang. It's your
Welcome to Mojang Mondays. This is KZ Music Media. Caller Goddess for Mojang Mondays.
Just my God is inspiration all day and all night. Saturday. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Miles Salvador from Australia.
And I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines at yung local Filipino community, Phil-Am Radio po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in, Phil-Am Radio every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
Do you have an idea for a community project in your neighborhood? You could be eligible for up to $50,000 in funding through the City of Seattle's Neighborhood Matching Fund. Grants are awarded to grassroots projects that build stronger communities, with an emphasis on projects led by impacting Black, Indigenous, and people of color BIPOC communities. To learn more about the Neighborhood Matching Fund or to see if your project meets the criteria, visit seattle.gov/neighborhoods/NMF.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Don't forget to log on www.rainieravenue.world.
It's 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 Central, 7 o'clock in the Pacific. You know what time it is. It's time for LidLine Sports. Thank you for coming back to us, LidLine Sports, right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's a beautiful Monday, rainy night here in the Pacific North. Fresh. Oh, Otis Stevenson is also with me. What's up? Oh, I am Pep, if I forgot to say that.
First of all, man, we got to start out the show. We got to start out the show getting a quick, happy, 21st birthday to my guy, Pepe Bean.
No.
Happy 21st birthday.
It's not my birthday. It's not my birthday. No. That, you know what?
Oh,
the post
not?
I put.
It's not?
I shared that from my daughter because she was thanking everybody for birthday wishes.
Oh.
And when I shared it, somehow her name didn't come up. I don't know what happened. So, because I'm like, why is everybody wishing me happy birthday? It ain't my birthday. Mine's next week. But so okay. Anyway, I looked at it and I see that hers was omitted. So I just deleted it because I don't want the confusion. So
wow.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
How about I give a shout out to Wanda Doyce, my mom. Happy birthday to her from last week.
Heck yeah.
On the 1st. Give her a happy birthday shout out.
That's right. Go. Hugs, Rhonda, for your birthday. You're what? Her 21st, right?
her 21st. Her 21st.
There you go. Yes, man, it's good to be back. So we got some good stuff. I want to get into NBA because the last few weeks we haven't really been able to get to it, of course, because of the NFL playoffs and whatnot. And so
no playoff game yesterday, and we don't really want to talk about the Pro Bowl and all that crap, right? So we're going to get into a little NFL. You know, we're going to do our final predictions later on the show, of course, what we think will happen or what should happen. But before we get into the NBA, I want to give a shout out to the Seattle Storm. The Seattle Storm been busy over the past week. The first move they made was trading their number 4 pick to the LA Sparks and Kia Nurse to the LA Sparks for the LA Sparks first round pick in 2026. And so, of course, that happened, I believe, Wednesday. And I when they did that,
what's that about?
Like, well, I'm going to tell you in a second, I think. That happened on Wednesday. So I'm like, man, what the heck are they doing? I mean, they gave away the number 4 pick for a pick 2 years later. Man, they need help now. So guess what? The next day, they signed in free agency Skylar Diggins Smith, who's an all pro, 8-year vet.
Yes.
And she, last of the Phoenix Mercury. And so, she's been averaging 19 plus still. So that's a great pickup, her and Jewel Lloyd together. So I'm like, okay, solid. And then today they sign another free agent from the LA Sparks, and they get Nneka Ogwumike from, like I said, from the Sparks, who's a 12-year All-Pro. So for the front line. So that's a big help for Jewel Lloyd. So now we've got 3 bona fide scorers. And don't be concerned about Ogwumike being a 12-year vet or Diggins Smith being an 8-year vet. Because, look, the WNBA season is not that long. It's 30 years. 30 years. That's long. But 30 games. And then, of course, they play overseas. But in essence, they're not really having the wear and tear like the regular NBA with the 82 games and the postseason, blah, blah, blah. So they're still pretty fresh, and especially Skylar Diggins Smith, because she's had a baby in between that. So she's actually had a year off, right, amongst that. So she's still pretty fresh if you could consider that. So don't be alarmed by those facts that they're veterans. They're still solid. They're still maybe in the latter part of their prime, but still, nonetheless, still good to go. Your thoughts on those moves?
I like the moves, but yeah, Pep, I don't know. I'm still confused why you give up the top 4 pick.
Well, let me tell you this. I tell you this. With the moves they made the other day and today, those 2 will help you more than a top 4 pick would this season. They're much better. So that's the reason for the move. So they want help now and then in 2026. Until 2026, look, in 2026, they're probably thinking Juju Watkins is coming out. And we don't know how good LA is going to be. And, of course, we don't know how good they're going to be. So if they're going to have a first-round pick plus their own, they might have a good chance to get that person.
So I guess my question is, was it not possible to get those 2 players and still keep your number 4 pick? This is my confusion, I guess, because you're right. Maybe those 2.
Well, because Kia Nurse was still here, right? That would be a crowded backcourt as far as with Skylar Diggins coming in, right? And then you'd still probably have to release somebody. So you might as well get something for her while you can. It makes sense to me in that aspect. But see, the thing is, they did that first, so we didn't know what the heck was going on until later on when we made these free agent picks. But I hear what you're saying. But like I said,
I just don't like the move of the first 1 pick. We're talking about a draft that is really good this year on top of that. So, Pep, somebody in that top 4 pick, they're probably helping the Storm this year, in my opinion. So that's another thing to me. It's like,
well, maybe they don't think so.
And maybe not.
Maybe they don't think so.
I mean, to me, I just find that crazy. I'm not in the front office, but you think a draft like this, I mean, you want the top 5 pick.
Bro, I had the same questions. when it happened. I was like, "What are you doing? Why are you giving up a number 4 pick?"
Yeah.
And then it was slightly tempered. Let's say, when they picked up Skylar Diggins Smith, I was like, okay. But then when they made this move today, I'm like, all right, that's better. That's even better. So who knows if they're finished? I don't know, right? I mean, we didn't even know these were going to happen. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna reserve my judgment until the final tally as far as what they're gonna do, as far as where they're gonna pick in the draft and what they do in if they continue to make moves in a free agent or a trade situation. So I'm gonna reserve all that for now. I just want to say that I just want to bring it up because we're gonna be talking about basketball, right?
Yeah.
And the Storm is our local team, so I wanted to bring that up since they were in the news this week. And it was kind of big news, so I just wanted to make sure we discuss that. And so, yeah.
I love the moves.
But I understand your trepidation for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, to me, when you have a top 4 pick and if you're trading them, you're getting something. And I get it. There's a possibility, like that pick is an important pick down the road. But that this draft is really good. Now, and to me, my opinion is, this had to have been something to do with financial ability. That's what all that has meant to me. I do agree with you that they are trying to win now. I'm okay with that. I just wish that, like I said, you keep that draft because this is a good draft. Like I said, you don't know who could fall to 4 in this draft. So
that's true. Yeah, or even who's coming out though, right? Because there's still some.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
I mean, maybe they got some inkling that certain players not going to come out where they're going to pick, and they feel that we'll just wait and then we'll just pick up what we can pick up now. So who knows? It's going to be interesting to see what happens. So right now the Seattle area is pretty excited for the football. There's been moves. The Mariners just made some moves. They made I think the Mariners made a great move Saturday, picking up Greg Santos from the White Sox. That guy has nasty stuff. If he's under control, he's going to be the guy that replaces Topa. Okay, who we traded away for Polanco. So I'm not saying that the Mariners had A+ off season because we know it started off not so good. We weren't too impressed, but over the past few weeks, it has gotten a little bit more promising, I think. But look. It's the Mariners, so we can't get too excited, too pumped up, right? Because we're still behind Texas and Houston until we aren't. So we can't get it too excited. But I will say that the move Saturday was a step in the right direction because this guy he could turn out to be the number one of the top 1 or 2 relievers. If of course, if he's healthy, and that goes with everybody, if they stay healthy and he can keep control. But I've seen his stuff, man. He is nasty, and that's what we need.
Yeah. I always feel like if the Mariners, if there's one thing that they do a good job of keeping, it's relief arms and pitching. So I have no issue with that.
We know the issue is the bats.
Yeah, the wild card is the bats that they did bring in on a cheaper value. Will we get the production we need out of them? But I thought they've done a pretty decent job with the bullpen and pitching. So, for me, let's see what those batters that they've gotten, like I said, the cheap alternative. Let's see what those guys can do. And if the Mariners are even done in that sense, because there are still names out there. Free agency wise, who's to say if the Mariners are what they're doing? But right now I'm in a filler mode, just filling out, just seeing what the Mariners will possibly be. I don't have too high or low.
Right.
What's the word? Or I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too high or too low about the Mariners. So
And I certainly hope they learned from last season's debacle as far as who they picked up. Colton Wong and La Stella, and it was like, come on. I mean, for real, and then Teoscar, which we thought was a solid pickup, and in all accounts, he probably you could say that he was. It's just that the strikeouts were just ridiculous. And, him and Eugenio Suarez, who's now gone to Arizona, both, was top three. You got two players in your lineup in the top three in strikeouts. Man, that's a recipe for disaster.
We had three in the top 10, right? Julio too.
Yeah. And come on. So hopefully, they've got some remedy to that by some of the moves they made. But the thing about it is, you look at the names and you're not seeing the big bat, and you're still seeing, and I'm still seeing that they're going to put Julio at the top of the order where he needs to be in the middle so he can drive. Because he's too good not to be driving in more runs. 75 to 80 runs is okay, but that's not the guy. That's not the production you want out of a guy that should be getting 100 plus. Well, he did get 100, I think, right? Yeah, he did. But okay, so he got 100 from where he is, which is phenomenal if you think about it, because he batted leadoff for most of the season and he drove in 100. That's pretty phenomenal. But if he's in the middle of the lineup, then you bump that to about 140. And that's where they need to be. That's what they need to have. They need to have that guy in the middle of the lineup with 120 plus.
So that's my thing. I would be okay with Julio leading off because of the speed if we did have power bats in the middle of our lineup. But he is the power bat for the most part as well. He does, just like you said, he can drive and runs too. So with this lineup, I would definitely love to see him back in the middle order, J.P. Crawford back into the front of the lineup,
right?
Going from there, I definitely want that.
Yeah, so I'm just hoping that one of the guys that they picked up in the off season, whether it be Urias or Polanco or whatever, and I know Mitch Garver. I know they project him in the middle of the lineup, and if him and Julio, look, we can hope that Mitch Haniger can finally not be injured, because he's back now from San Francisco in a trade that actually brought them. We sent away Robbie Ray. But listen, the good thing for the Mariners this year in this offseason is they did not have to give up any of their top 5 starters, which is phenomenal if you think about it. Because when at the end of the season you figure, oh man, one of these guys got to go. Woo, right? Woo or whoever. I can't. My mind's blank right now. But Carter, help me out, bro. Chime in.
Right? I can't think of his first name, but Miller's his last name.
Yes, thank you. That's the other one I was thinking about. Yeah. Bryce Miller or Wu. You figured one of them would be gone for a bat. Well, both of them are still here, which is good. Plus, they did get rid of Topa, but they brought in Santos, and I just talked about him a few minutes ago. If you're just joining us, so yeah, so that's some kind of promise, and of course they brought Haniger back. So which is look, when Haniger's healthy, he can thump, because when he was healthy, he gave us 39 home runs one season, right? But since then, he hasn't been healthy. He wasn't healthy here in his last season here, and he wasn't healthy last season in San Francisco. So, to expect that he's going to come up here and be healthy all of a sudden, that's going to be a lot to ask. And, you just have to hope and pray that it happens.
The Mariners they pretty much made it known all offseason that they didn't have money to spend. So, if anybody as of right now is shocked that, there's no big bat in that lineup, you shouldn't. And it sounds like it's just not much in their control of what they can do money wise. So that's why for me as a fan, it's kind of had to sit back and, just let the cards play out and see what happens. And, not necessarily dumb down your expectations, but understanding what the Mariners can do this offseason. So, they might.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, the guys they brought in can make contact. That's the thing. That was the big thing for them. They wanted guys that can come in and make contact, right? Not strike out. They actually, in the trade for Santos, they actually gave up a big bat in the minor leagues, the Loach. However, when you look at his statistics in the AAA, he strikes out almost 30% of the time. He's in the 20s, which is what they've already been dealing with, and they're tired of that. So they got rid of that, brought in a new pitcher. So now they got some guys that can make contact. So, maybe they might not have that big thumper that we thought that they were going to be able to bring in, but Caleb Raleigh can thump, right? And like I said, if Haniger is healthy, he can. And we know if we can get Rodriguez going, or if the new guys can come up and somebody can take over for Julio at the top of the lineup and then bring him down to 5th or 4th, whatever, and then get some thump out of him. Then there's your solution for that, and difference from last season when you're striking out 200 times per player, which is crazy. So yeah, we can hope. So that's all we can do. Look, I'm like a lot of Mariner fans. I'm not all that confident, but I can see some promise. When I look at it, I do see some of it. Now we'll see.
Better than me, Pep.
Yeah, I know. Well, heck, you were better than me last year. Last year, you were more optimistic than I was by far.
Yeah.
So I guess we did a little flip.
Yeah. Like I said, I just don't know. I don't know what to think right now with that team. So.
Right. So yeah. Did you watch the Pro Bowl at all?
You know what? I didn't know. So I watched bits and pieces, but I did not know that they changed it to flag football. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So
it's so funny
because
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think it's kind of cool. Like, I mean, let's take away the aspect. It's kind of like with football and basketball all-star game. These guys aren't going to play hard. So I mean, what's the point of putting the pads on these guys? These guys grew up playing 7-on-7. Kind of brings back the street football way, or how they grew up. So I kind of like that. Like I said, it kind of caters to the fact that they're not going to play hard. I like the premise
of the flag football, but I don't like the way that they run it or the way they do it. It's so wide open and so. I mean, it's so obvious. Like when a guy catches a pass, he's going to get he. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. I mean, the final score was 64-59, right?
That's why I said it caters.
Yeah, it's like a college basketball game, but I mean, it wasn't even thrilling or anything. Nothing. I mean, to me, and of course, when Granville and I, first started doing the show, we even mentioned years ago that they should stop the Pro Bowl and maybe make it a flag football game. And then I even said, you know what? Instead of even that, why don't they just have a big ESPN Pro Bowl banquet? Right, like award, do an award show. You call out the Pro Bowl team, right, and then you do it in Vegas or LA, somewhere fancy, Miami, I don't know, somewhere fancy and fun. I mean, because the game is just crap. I mean, I would love to know what the ratings were. It had to be.
I think the Pro Bowl should be Super Bowl weekend. I think that'll help a little bit to get people to watch wherever it's at, where the Super Bowl is at. I think the Pro Bowl should be just that Saturday. Like I said, help boost people being there instead of it being. You're right. I mean, everybody's focused on the Super Bowl right now. Yeah, everybody's focused on the Super Bowl right now. Like I said, I mean, pretty sure a lot of people forgot that the Pro Bowl was on. Just like you said, I wonder what the ratings are. I mean, I think you put it on a bigger stage in the Super Bowl weekend. I think it does a little better.
Yeah, I had it on because I actually haven't watched a Pro Bowl since probably the 90s, and I actually had it on, but I wasn't paying any attention. I was on my phone. I was talking to D, whatever, and I look up. Like I remember I turned it on, right, and I looked up maybe 5 minutes into turning it on. It was already 19:15. I'm like, what? Well, what did I miss? Yeah. I didn't hear none of that. And so then next thing you know, I look up again, it's like 33-30. And I'm like, oh, come on. Really? And then I'm seeing Gino throwing picks. I'm like, oh, here we go. So man.
That's the same issue with the All-Star game as you're trying to cater so much to a fan base for an All-Star game that you kind of just take away the aspect of the sport. So, and it's just straight all offense. Nobody's like really playing any defense. So,
yeah, the only All-Star games that are worth watching, to be honest, is Major League Baseball and NHL hockey. NHL's got it right. Major League Baseball definitely has it right. NBA, NFL, trash. Both their All-Star games. The whole weekend is trash in the NBA, and it's definitely trash for the NFL, which is sad because, those are the two most popular sports right now. If you think about it, baseball used to be, but those days are long gone as far as popularity is concerned, as far as what America feels like now. Because right now, number one is NFL. There's no dispute, right? There's no argument whatsoever that NFL is the most popular sport. And those two have the worst All-Star weekends around. It's just terrible. So I don't know. I'm just not.
It starts with the players, and I don't know if we'll ever see players take All-Star games for the NBA and NFL serious ever again. I know, Pep, you grew up in an era for sure for the NBA where those guys relished being able to step on the court with 24 of the best players and, played the game for just at least bragging rights. Like, those guys are just so competitive. And now, especially the NBA, they just see that week as they want it to be a vacation and don't really put much emphasis in the game. Now, granted, the skill level is so high that maybe now it's not the dunk contest, but at least three-point contest is fun to watch. I'm hearing some rumors. I was going to talk about next segment coming to that is about the dunk contest. So maybe we'll see something happen that way. Maybe this will open some things up. I'm hearing some rumors that an all-star will be in the dunk contest. But these have to find a love to just want to compete for one game in front of a big crowd and just make the best of it. You got to figure out a way to block out that it's vacation or that your season's over for the NFL and just want to just lace up for one game. You're not going to play as much as you would play a regular game because everybody's an all-star. Everybody's going to play. So but you got to block the injury stuff out, and just play the game.
Yeah. I tell you, I remember back in the day in the 70s and 80s and of course the 90s that the NBA All-Star game was so fun because they were so competitive, right? And yeah, sure, the first three quarters, there was a lot of scoring, but they did play D, right? It just wasn't the super playoff intense D. But in these games now, there's absolutely no D at no time. They don't even ratchet it up in the fourth quarter.
Barely.
They're scoring 50 and 60 points a quarter. Which, okay, it's pretty fun, but it's not exciting if you've seen a guy dunk and there's nobody within 15 feet of him, right? Or a guy's got a wide open layup, after somebody scores on one end and they throw it down court and the guy's wide open for a layup, 2 seconds later. That's not fun. That's man, I know I've seen pickup games better than, at the Y or whatever, better than that. Come on, man.
Yep.
Yeah, this stuff is trash. So anyway, when we come back, we're going to get heavy into the NBA, like I promised. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Here with the Rainier Avenue Radio Traffic Update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio Traffic Update.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects. For more information, visit kingcounty.gov.
The beat of the Fox with nastiness is back on K-Fox Night Beat.
Yo, what's the deal? It's the legendary Hall of Fame DJ Mixmaster Ice. UTFO.
What's up? Who do you thought this is? This is Sir Mix-a-Lot. And this is Terry Lewis.
And I'm Grand Mixer GMS.
What's up, y'all? This is DJ Third Degree.
This is JJ Hudson from the High Children family.
Sunday nights from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's K-Fox Night Beat with DJ Nastiness.
Bringing back the memories.
Bringing back the memories.
Bringing Seattle's hottest music.
Bringing Seattle's hottest music. Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
That's my noise.
Peace.
Did you know that there's an updated COVID-19 booster that protects you even more than the original vaccines? Even if you got the first vaccinations, now it's time to get this new updated booster shot. It's especially important for adults 50 and over and people with a compromised immune system. Even though you may not hear about people catching COVID as often, each week in King County, some people even end up in the hospital because of it. So check with your loved ones and make sure they've gotten an updated booster. For more information on where to get a COVID vaccine, including free vaccination resources, visit kingcounty.gov/vaccines. kingcounty.gov/vaccines.
Atlantic Street Center has been serving the children, youth, and families of the Seattle King County area since 1910. We partner with families and communities to raise healthy, successful children and youth through services including counseling, early learning, youth development, domestic violence, and education support for school-aged children. Committed to serving the African American community, Atlantic Street Center provides services and support for all marginalized people. Learn more at AtlanticStreetCenter.org.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Welcome back to LidLine Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Tomorrow, 11:30 a.m., Masvidal Mariari will be in Vegas. Yes, he will be broadcasting live from the Super Bowl from 11:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. So you do not want to miss the Seattle sports experience with Masvidal Mariari. On this, so all month long, February the 1st through the 29th, Tuesdays through Sundays, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., we have Black History Month Museum right here at 4916 Rainier Avenue South. A Call to Conscience featuring exhibits and installations by Seattle Black Panther Party, Black Heritage Society of Washington, and more. Rainier Cinema Black music movie posters. So you do not want to miss that. You got all the way to the end of the month, right? We got a leap year, February 1st to the 29th. And finally, Saturday, right here at Columbia City Theater, 4916 Rainier Avenue South. February 10th, doors open at 6. We have the Total Experience Alumni Gospel Choir live in concert. Join us for an epic night of museum featuring the soul-stirring and powerful voices of Total Experience Alumni Gospel Choir. Get your tickets now at calltoconscience.world. Thank you for listening. And we want to, and a quick caveat, the WNBA, that trade that Seattle Storm made was for salary cap purposes. I just found out. Apparently, the WNBA has a very hard cap. They're not calling it a such thing as a luxury tax because it's not allowed to exceed a certain point. So that's the reason why that trade was made. Because they had to, they had to stay within the salary cap. So, having said all that, let's get into some NBA, man. I got some questions, brother. I want to get into, Joel Embiid. I want to get into Doc. So take it away, my friend.
Yeah, we're here hitting the halfway point. Trade deadline's also this week. But the big news is Joel Embiid will be out for an extended amount of time with what is being called an injured left meniscus. Now, this goes with saying that Joel Embiid did hurt his knee. The game before, I think when they were going to play the Denver Nuggets 2 games before he hurt his knee, he was warming up and the injury, or I guess the doctors or the trainers saying that he looked a little gimpy, so he sat out. People made a big deal out of that because Joel Embiid has not played in Denver against Nikola Jokic since 2019. So people made a big deal about that. So he comes back and he plays against, or he misses the next game, and then comes back and plays against the Golden State Warriors and play in the fourth quarter. He's running to go try to help on a shot, comes down awkward on his knee. And so he is out. Now, the question is going forward is if he's going to require surgery, what kind of surgery is he going to need? And go from there. Is it going to be a full repair? If it's a full repair in his meniscus, his season's at jeopardy. If it's just something that they can go in and tweak, then I'm hearing 1 to 2 months. But that's both. It's a long time for a team that has championship aspirations. But then, you started hearing the news, or started hearing rumblings about, we're talking about now the MVP and the all team awards, and people talking about how you got guys being pressured to play at least 65 games so they can hit that threshold to make team awards. And you know what? I know those are players, a lot of saying that, and they were getting a lot of media guys. I'm gonna have to sign on the media side with these guys, and the fact that NBA players are going out of their way to fight for playing 65 games, to me, is just still kind of crazy. I don't think that that's what Joel Embiid was trying to do. I think as long as he was healthy, he was going to play. Relatively healthy, he was going to play. Now, I'm not saying that maybe in the back of his mind that MVP was still sitting there and all NBA team awards, but the threshold is 65 games, and I'm okay with the rule of having it at that threshold, because I don't think you can reward a guy who plays possibly 50 games. That's missing a third of the season. How do I give that? Let's just say Joel Embiid plays only 50 games here. How does he deserve MVP?
Right.
Over somebody who plays 70 games and still has good numbers. And I know LeBron said, or I think Draymond Green had said, well, what about if you play 64 and not 65? And it's like, if you got to play tit for tat like that, to me,
there's got to be a minimum somewhere.
There's just disgrace to the game of, these guys before you had no problem playing at least 70 plus games. So I even thought the threshold of 65 was, a little nice. Now, just something that happened with Joel Embiid. Remember, this is a player who has dealt with injuries all his career.
His first 2 seasons in the league, he had to sit out of an injury. He wasn't a rookie until he was in the league 3 years.
Yeah.
Technically.
So if Joel Embiid's mindset and the 76ers mindset is, if you want to let that 65-game rule get in effect to what is mattered across the long haul, that's kind of on your guys' fault. He has nothing to prove when it comes, and I get it. It's an MVP, all NBA. You want those.
Plus,
and I know
Plus, real quick, winning MVP, that also adds something to your paycheck, right?
Yeah, all NBA team does too. Yes.
That's where the real thing lies.
Yeah, but you only have to hit that threshold one time in your contract to be eligible for a supermax. But my thing is, the reason why Joel Embiid is such a delicate factor is because this is a guy who has continuously been hurt year after year. Is that MVP worth chasing over the long haul of an NBA season? So they can say that Joel Embiid felt pressured to come back because he doesn't want to go under that threshold. But if the trainer saw something, you got to come to grips with what's more important. This is a team, like I said, who now has an all-star in Tyrese Maxey next to him. They're trying to win a championship. Some needles just don't need to be pushed, and I think there's just a long haul that's more important. So it's really unfortunate that this happens, but are we surprised, though, Pat? Regardless of the 65-game threshold. It's not surprising. This is a guy who's always been hurt.
Every year.
Yes. So the Philadelphia 76ers, they definitely have a lot to make up to stay just above water. And like I said, how long Joel Embiid will be out. it hasn't really they haven't really came to 100% what they're going to do yet. But I know they're leaning towards surgery. So it's a really big blow to the 76ers.
I mean, unless everybody picks it up huge, not named Maxey, because we already know he can, right? But I mean, you know, if Tobias Harris, you know, super elevates and Beverly super elevates, we got to figure that, yeah, they'll probably make the playoffs, but they're not getting home court, right? They're not getting home court advantage anywhere. And basically, unless they make a move in the trade deadline and get another, they'll probably have to take on a bad contract to come to get somebody to help them, and so that's probably the best thing they can do if they want to stay relevant. And then so of course if the fact that Embiid can come back in the last couple of weeks of the season, if not postseason, to make a run at the finals or whatever. But as it stands right now, they got to just look to just squeaking in the playoffs, because, you know, all that other lofty stuff is kind of out the window right now. Nick Nurse is probably going to have to do his best coaching job ever, right, to get them to be within striking distance of, you know, doing some damage in the postseason with Embiid coming back.
Yeah,
that's just,
and you know, you bring up the trade deadline. Yeah, you bring up the trade deadline, which is this Thursday, 12 o'clock or 3 o'clock Eastern time. 3 o'clock Eastern time. There's not really much on the market for a big, and you know, they don't have much room to really move around unless they put Tobias's large contract on the table in order to really get something. But you're looking at maybe more minor moves, like a name like Andre Drummond, Mason Plumlee, possibly from the LA Clippers. You're looking at something like that. There's somebody that can just keep you a hold for, just like you said, for the next 2 months, possibly. So I definitely don't see them really going, you know, out to get a big name, but just pieces possibly to get you, just keep you above water until Joel Embiid comes. Some other names that were floating around the trade deadline, DeJounte Murray being the biggest one out of the Seattle, Washington, which I find it really odd and confusing that the Hawks want to trade him because he's playing really well. But I'm hearing over these last few weeks with the Hawks kind of playing much better, they have been a little more reluctant and on not budging on, first of all, on the price for him. They want multiple first-round draft picks back. Remember, they gave up for multiple first-round draft picks to get him. But I'm hearing that they are okay with keeping him through the trade deadline and seeing what's happening. You know, the Lakers, that's been a team that's been trying to get him. I'm now also hearing the Utah Jazz, which I think Pep is super interesting because they have a bevy of first-round draft picks and players. They can put together a package to get DeJounte Murray. So that'll be really interesting to see the bidding between the two and how reluctant.
I heard the Knicks thrown in there too.
Really? And
yeah,
you know what?
I heard that today.
That wouldn't be something that wouldn't surprise me because Julius Randle is now out with the shoulder injury. So he's going to be out for, I think, at least a month. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to go get a pick like that. And they got a couple guys on salary like Evan Fournier that they can match salaries with to possibly get him and first-round draft picks.
Right.
I guess for me, the question is, and you can maybe answer this, Pep, what's your thought process as the front office? Do you think, like, let's go see if we can compete for a championship this year, or do we still try to steady chug along and then make moves possibly in the summer? Or is it right now?
Ooh. Well, you got to think about who you're up against. Are you ready to compete against Milwaukee? Are you ready to compete against Boston right now? Because if you feel that you are, then yeah, you go all out. But if you don't feel that way, if you feel you're still a little bit short, then you can't go all, you can't jeopardize breaking up some chemistry, because right now their chemistry is on fire. They've been, ever since they got Anunoby, they've been great. They've been beating everybody. They took a hiccup to the Lakers, which is baffling. But the Lakers also beat the Celtics, so go figure. Man, it's life in the NBA, And so, yeah, so you got to figure out where you think you're at and whether you think it's going to be worth it to just go ahead and make that move.
I'm with you. I just love what the moves the Knicks have made. I think that they have steady chugged along and, never got too high or got too low of, if not thinking that this didn't work, maybe blow it up, try again. They went from making the second round of playoffs to not making the playoffs. And I'm glad that they stayed even keeled. I would be okay if they can move some first round picks, Evan Fournier, maybe another smaller piece to bring in DeJounte Murray. There's some young players that are untouchable for them when it comes to DeJounte, but I think that they can put together a package. I'd be okay if they swing for the fence to go get him.
I would
bring
too.
Back
And bring, they're bringing the buzz back in the garden. And the NBA is always better if there's like that buzz in the garden, look, let's be honest. The NBA is always better when Boston's good, LA Lakers are good, Knicks are good, and Chicago's good. Those are your four, epicenters of cities. And if they're all good, the NBA is that much better. Whether you like them or not, right? So I'm hoping the Knicks, because I do like the Knicks, and having lived in that area for 20 some odd years, I've grown an affinity to them and the Nets. So I want them to do well, so I'm hoping that the Knicks can put a package, get Murray, get that buzz going, and go far in the playoffs. Take the Bucks to 7 games, or take the Celtics to 7 games, or Miami, or whoever they're going to play. I would love that.
Agree. The other team who is in a sale mode will be the Charlotte Hornets. I'm hearing that the Phoenix Suns.
Why does Charlotte even have a franchise? I mean.
It's funny.
Listen, this is no knock on the city. I'm not knocking Charlotte, North Carolina, right? It's a nice city. I've been there before, Queen City, whatever. But let's be honest, it is not an NBA powerhouse of a place. It's just not. And
they built so wrongly ever since Michael Jordan coming there. Just young player after young player after young player, picking the wrong veterans and keep drafting the same guys who do the same thing as the guy you drafted before.
Right. Good point.
Yeah. I just think that it's time to clear house unless your name is not LaMelo Ball or Brandon Miller. Everybody else can go. And the big piece on that team
PJ Washington, he'll get 40. And then the next 3-4 games, he won't even break double figures. It's like, come on, man.
The piece that everybody's after the most who's available is Miles Bridges. Now we know that he was in some hot water this past year, so the value for him is not as high. But the Charlotte Hornets are trying to get at least a first-round draft pick if they are going to move him. He's still putting up decent numbers, I think 20-7. The team that I think has reached out and been the most aggressive has been the Phoenix Suns. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Now, he does have a no-trade clause, too. So he pretty much gets to kind of choose what fit is best for him. So that'll be really interesting to see also how the fan base reacts to possibly Miles Bridges going to another team. How he fits. Is he ready to play winning basketball and things like that? Because Terry, I don't know if you missed it, Terry Rozier, who got traded to Miami Heat, he just said that it's just been a difference playing with the Miami Heat, and you just go in with the Charlotte Hornets. The locker room is just like you're losing pretty much every game, and here it's not that. So it'll be interesting, all those guys when they go to other teams and seeing that everything is it's for real. It's not just going out there and just playing a basketball game to lose. So that'll be really interesting. And then I don't know if we mentioned it, and I think the news didn't come out till last week, but another guy who was trying to get traded, another guy who hails out of Washington, Zach LaVine, he will be out for the rest of the season with the broken, or not a broken foot, but a foot injury. So he is now probably off the market. I don't see a team trading for him when he's not going to play this year. But it's just interesting. The Chicago Bulls are playing much better without him. Kobe White, Ayo Damonsu.
Yeah, it looks like he won't be in Chicago next year then.
Yeah, I think he will be the most popular name on the trade block come the summer for sure, just because with Chicago, what they're doing. And Zach is really still a good player, but I don't think he wants to be in Chicago as well. So he'll definitely be moved. Now I know you brought up the Bucks, Pep. They are another team who is looking for a 3-and-D wing. There's a bunch of names that are on the trade market for that they can possibly go get, but they need something defensively. I don't see Doc Rivers being able to change that in 2 months. But I've watched him. I don't know if I watched him play yesterday against the Utah Jazz, man, and it was just embarrassing to watch them be up, I think 12, 14 points going in the fourth quarter, and ended up losing him by 12 points.
And what is it with Doc Rivers and blowing leads? I mean, he blows more leads, and he's blown more 3-1 series leads in any coach in NBA history. Now, here's the controversy for this week is that he's selected to be the coach of the All-Star team for the East because Milwaukee is second in the East, so they need to supply the coach. And the reason for that, folks, in case you don't know, you can't go to an All-Star game, be the coach 2 years in a row. So Boston was the coach last year. So they're number one in the East again, but he can't do it. So then they go to the second, which would be the Milwaukee Bucks. However, the Milwaukee Bucks fired the coach, Adrian Griffin. So now they're telling Doc, well, he's got to do it. Now Doc has a 1-3 record with the Bucks right now. Even Doc is like, come on, man, I can't go coach the All-Star game. I'm not going to even take the money that belongs to Adrian Griffin. I'm going to give it to him so he can do it, but so he can have the money. But Doc said, and I think he's absolutely right, that I'll just send the assistant coaches. They can coach the All-Stars, and then I'll just sit at home for the weekend. I'm going to talk to Adam Silver. And yeah, I mean, if Adam Silver had sense, he's like, yeah, it makes sense. Do that. But sometimes or somehow these pro commissioners, they baffle me, man. Some of their thought processes. And if he doesn't agree to this, I don't know what to tell you. If he goes out and makes Doc coach that team for the All-Star game, man, I don't know. That's just crazy. He's been there for 4 games. And you're going to let him. I mean, come on, man. Just send the assistants out there. They can handle the game. Jeez.
Yeah, that being able to coach an All-Star. Yeah. Being able to coach an All-Star team.
Plus those assistants, look, they've been there all season. So, and they're the ones that worked hard. They deserve to go.
Yeah. That's what I was
I wouldn't deny them. So yeah.
That's what I was about to say. Being able to coach the All-Star team is it's a privilege, and that's something that was earned by that coaching staff. Just like you said, Pop has only coached 4 games, while that coaching staff was there majority of the first half of the season. I honestly think the whole coaching staff, including Adrian Griffin, should get that chance at least for the most part. But yeah, if just the assistants go, and I know the assistants are already going because the assistants already said that they're not going to go, and they invited those guys to go. So I agree that the assistants should just get the opportunity to coach because like I was just even about the Milwaukee Bucks, it's like we talked about the firing and all that. You talk about having urgency and wanting to make a move now. That is so tough to have to coach midway through a season on a team that's championship or bust. But your biggest issue is defensively. Doc is not somebody who's that takes personnel. That's not a coach. That's your personnel is already not.
Well, they had Drew Holiday and they traded him.
Yeah, and people want to say that
he's one of the best defenders, backcourt defenders in the league. But you created him because what'd you do? You got Damian Lillard, who could, couldn't guard a glass of water, on a summer day.
And people don't think it, but I mean, Grayson Allen was a pretty decent defender too, and he was a part of that trade.
Right.
Give away both those guys who give at least great effort on defense. You're losing a lot, and this all to me goes back to to Giannis, and I told you when Mike or Bob Myers, the old GM for the Warriors, made that opinion about players stepping in to make GM role decisions. Giannis came out and on a radio show basically threatened the Milwaukee Bucks to make a move, or basically, I don't see myself gone. I don't think Milwaukee. I don't think Drew Holiday or that Giannis understood that there was just a hiccup last season. That team is good enough. Who is already who they have with minor moves. That team was good enough to win a championship. That team literally just was in the championship 2 years ago and won. They had a significant injury the year before. But like I said, you're putting this decision into a player's hands he's not looking at the game that way. He's just frustrated. He's frustrated just because he didn't go to championship for 2 years. It doesn't work like that. It's so hard to win a championship and even get there. But because Giannis says a few things in the media, you get so ruffled up and you start making irrational decisions by trading your best defender and your two best defenders now for a guy when your problem was never on offense. You wouldn't go get an offensive-minded point guard who does not play defense and has never been asked to guard ever. Right. So you already do that by going to get another first-year coach who now has to work with this. Doc Rivers is a good defensive coach, in my opinion. I don't see even the woes changing with this team. So now if we're now just talking about trying to catch up for this year, let's say these guys losing the second round of the playoffs, Pep, who's to blame here now?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be Doc because he's the coach. So,
which is not fair.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It isn't. You made great points. Hey, real quick, man, let's get into some NFL predictions since the Super Bowl's coming up next week. I don't want to miss out on this. Who you got, KC or SF?
I am not going against Patrick Mahomes. I see the score being 24-20 with both these guys having really good defenses. I don't think this is going to be a shootout. I got 24-20, 24-21, 24-20, something like that, Chiefs.
Okay. Yep, I got the Chiefs because they're the defending champions, and they've already been on the road and proved that they still are who we think they are. Even though they have mediocre talent at receiver, it doesn't matter. Patrick Mahomes elevates his players, and if you're going to let him go wild, you're going to lose. So I'm going to go with them until San Francisco proves that they're San Francisco. They got all pros at so many different positions. We all know that San Francisco is a juggernaut, but you know what? They've been vulnerable in the playoffs so far against Green Bay and Detroit. And so, what makes me think that they're not going to be vulnerable against a better team than both of those teams. So I'm going to go with KC. Even though I know San Francisco can win, I'm going to go with KC. So, so that's going to wrap it up for us. I want to thank O for being O. He is the man, and Daniel for hanging and doing what he does. So we'll be back next week after the Super Bowl to recount on what we just said today. On behalf of everybody, I say hello or goodbye. Peace. Hello and goodbye.